Okay, so take 3 of recording this. Well, take 1 of today, but attempt 3 overall. Who knew the series that's supposed to be hard to read would also be hard to review? Because so much stuff happens in Gardens of the Moon, which is book 1, part 1, sequence 1 of Malazan, Book of the Fallen. I'll give Steven Erikson that. He knows how to name things. There's some cool ass names from Animander Rake to just Darujhistan as a city. It's like, okay, well, that's intriguing. I don't know why, but I like it. But as I was saying, I'm having trouble reviewing this book because the first attempt, I tried to do something general, just hit on the points like character, plot, what went right, what went wrong. But then the second attempt, I was like, no, I want to be more in depth. And then I tried to summarize the book. And holy crap, does a lot of stuff happen in this book. Like, it is so intricate in the plot, not necessarily in it's hard to follow, but so much stuff is happening all at once. It's like, okay, so this is happening here, and then this is also happening at the same time, and then converging this way, and summary would need visualization and a whole lot of editing that I'm not really willing to do. So, we're going to try to find a hybrid between the two and talk about not only non-spoilers, because this is the first book in a series, let you know if you should read it or not, but also some spoiler stuff without a complete and succinct summary, because that is very hard to do. Maybe in the future, I feel like I could do it. I wrote out a Google Doc, but I would want to do it justice, not just an off the top of my head fling. Before we get into non-spoilers, I'm going to ask you guys to like and subscribe. I'm almost done with the second book, actually, so that review will be coming sometime in the future. Also, let me know what other videos besides just reviews you would like to see from me, and let's get on with it. First off, if you're not well read in fantasy, don't even fucking attempt this. This is like the difficulty on a video game after you beat it once and then you play it again and it's really hard. Yeah, that's the book version of that. It is very difficult to follow everything as you're thrown into the deep end. And as I've found reading the second book, details emerge much later on than they would first appear relevant and needed. So if you don't have the time commitment or you don't have the will or the patience to really wait it out, probably not for you. So get a couple series under your belt, maybe like Stormlight, Wheel of Time. Hey, you know what? I just made a video on those. Read those. Kind of the same, kind of not the same, but it'll get you prepared for it. But for those who are prepared, this is a bonus in my opinion. It feels like you're in the middle of a story. There is so much depth to this world, and it leaves you intrigued in every aspect, in every character. Like, what's that? Wait, can we stop on that? Can you explain that? And they're like, nope, we're moving on. We're just focusing on these few details. Those will come in later at a later date, and you will see how that plays into the main story. I very much do enjoy the depth of this world. It is hard to follow, but at the same time, greatly rewarding when you catch a detail and put it together yourself. It is not hand-holding in the slightest, and you are rewarded for your efforts in reading. Something I do have to mention as a consequence of this getting dumped in the deep end is I had trouble with the first half of the book. It was hard for me to catch up and connect with the characters as everything was already on pace and did not speed up with me, but I had to speed up with it. But by the time I got to the second half, I was very much enjoying myself, enjoyed the book, was intrigued, and as I've started the second book, I realized it's just a new set of characters and the pace that Steven Erikson presents. He's like, come on, catch up with me. I'm not waiting for you. This is up to you to figure out, and I'm telling my story, which is not a huge problem, but it is hard when you start with a new set of characters, of which both book 1 and book 2 do. Of course, book 1 is the first book. There's going to be new characters. Am I stupid or something? But anyways, moving on from that, this is a very fantasy-saturated world. Everything has some element to it more than what it appears on the surface. But at the same time, it's very grounded. Like, the best way to kill these, like, super powerful creatures or magicians is just to bomb them. Like, literally blow them up. In the Malazan army, there's some people called sappers, and they just carry around explosives because, like, shit works when it blows up. Like, you can't beat chemistry. And I very much enjoyed that aspect of no matter how powerful or scheming things are, there's gods involved in this world. Humans and mortals and regular things can work in their own capacity. No sword is proven useless just because it's a piece of metal. You can still stab somebody with it. Or, hey, you got magic? Well, how does it feel to have your atoms vaporize? It works the way that the world works, just with a little special spice overall. Now, the two biggest compliments I can give this book is the intricacy of the plot and how it weaves together in the end, along with that characters act on their own volition and then not in service of the plot. The plot happens because of the characters, not the other way around. And when I talk about intricacies is there is a bunch of threads just pretty much spooled all over the place and snapping to a tight conclusion where everything in this book wraps up pretty well and all the plot lines thread together and come in contact with each other, and the characters acting on their own volition provides me much more investment into the story. Whereas if it's we gotta go here because the Dark Lord's gonna kill everybody, no, it's like, hey, I have my own problems. I'm going to go off of what's best for me and not what's best for the story. And that in combination with all the other characters and their plot lines merging together into this massive conclusion was very cathartic and satisfying for the trouble that I had in the beginning of the book. Okay, so I pretty much think that covers non-spoilers. If you're an experienced fantasy reader and you want a time commitment, give it a shot. If you're not, get some other easier stuff under your belt so then you can be prepared to delve into this. As I can already tell, it's going to take a lot of brain power. All right, now here comes the hard part, the non-spoilers. I'm just going to start at the beginning and skip around in kind of chronological order and touch on things that I understood, didn't completely did not understand. Starting with that completely did not understand. That beginning chapter with the witch and the souls and then and then the witch just gets bitch slapped and died and then a bunch of dogs eat people. I was like, okay, I guess that's what this book's going to be. Get my thinking cap on. And it was quite a start of confusion for me. But by the end, I did understand that, okay, so Sari got possessed by Shadow Throne and Cotillion. But the start of it, with no explanation, left me utterly confused in every which way. I'm still a little bit confused on the witch, and I'm wondering, was she the person protecting Sari's soul until Anamander Rake freed it? I still don't know about that because I remember them commenting there is something protecting her soul, and I guess it was the witch, but also then again, she died of a bitch slap, so beats me. But then we had Perron, and this felt like a very convenient meeting. It's like, oh, here's Whiskey Jack, and here's the future Empress, and then there's this little kid who's just the son of a merchant noble just up on the battlements watching a uprising get put down. It's like, okay. Opon's not involved yet, but I guess it's here you go. Whiskey Jack's don't be a soldier, kid. He's like, I want to be a soldier. And then he ends up saving Whiskey Jack's ass in the end. So felt a little convenient, but whatever. At this point, I was like, screw it. Beginning of the book, I've heard it's disjointed. Let's run with it. And so with the time jump to Pale, that's when we get my boy Anamander Rake. My man is smooth. My man is cool. He's got a sword that's fucking terrifying in concept and a sick-ass crib, along with powers that are not completely in my comprehension, let alone the characters he's facing comprehension, because, Taishran does, half his job for him, so I'm not totally sure why he retreated besides, the claws fucking up shit inside of Pale. But then we meet most of our crew, and Sari's being funny, because she's just a creepy-ass person, and Kalam and Quick Ben are like, yo, we're terrified of this little girl, and Whiskey Jack's like, no, it's fine. It's totally fine. Don't worry about her maybe being essentially the assassin incarnate. Another line that had me laughing was when Quick Ben was some quick negotiations talking about Hairlock who's just sitting there missing his legs. I was like, okay, because I thought Hairlock was a good person at this time and not some chaos demon fucking puppet. And I was like, oh damn, what the fuck he extorted out of this man? And I was like, okay, kind of makes sense. I don't know what his negotiations were because Hairlock just turned out to be a loose cannon. I don't think Ben had very much control, except for in the last moment that he kind of got him. The humor in this book definitely is my type of dry situational humor, as Perron is like, don't kill me without good reason, and then Sari just kills him with kind of a good reason because he's working for Adjunct Lorne, but just the timing of it, I was like, perfection there. And anyways, he is brought back by Opon and given a special sword. Also, I call such cap that he's never drawn it in 2 years of working for the Adjunct. Come on, dude. He's drawn it, but he hasn't used it. Come on, you are lying through your teeth there to sound cool. Nuh-uh. But anyways, our boy is back to life, and Whiskey Jack and the gang are off to Darujhistan. I'm just gonna call it that. I don't know. That's the pronunciation that we're running with. And in Darujhistan, we have our other gang of boys. Crocus, who is being horny, sees his first titty, being a thief, steals a lot of money, and then also is almost murdered, has an eventful night. That's a night to remember as a young man. And he, along with his boys, go to the inn. He's got Ralik Nam, Marilo, Cole, and then the boy Croup. I liked Croup a lot. The way he talked, his dreams, the way he influenced it, everything. Being the eel, Croup was a great character. Ralik Nam kind of just felt like Kalam, but mirrored into Darujhistan. I kind of wish they'd given him more, like especially with that Assassin's Guild at the end. I liked that and wish we'd gotten more of it earlier. He was helping out his boy Cole, but it definitely felt like it needed to be a slightly more present or intriguing. Not necessarily more present, but more intriguing. Because the conclusion was good, but the setup was not necessarily the most interesting. I'm glad they didn't focus on it a ton. But back to our boy Croup, who is scheming everywhere. He's got Baruch in the bag. He's dealing with elder gods in the dreams. He's reviving Tattersail, who goes suicide bombing on her mage friend. There's a whole lot of shit happening, as I said, at once, and everybody's involved everywhere. That makes things so satisfying for me. Oh my god, I love when things connect and make sense, actually. Although Croup being a dreamer and connecting with some tribes people doesn't really make sense, but it connects, and because it's Croup, it works. But anyways, back in Pale, the meeting with Adjunct Lorne Tayshren, Tattersail, and our boy One-Arm Dujek, one arm, not one arm Dujek, was great. I loved Adjunct Lorne's personality in that, where she's like, hey, you caused me a whole lot of emotional damage, and then she's like, never mind, I'm somebody different now. I'm sorry, please do your job. And then Tattersail's like, oh, what the fuck? Wait, I totally skipped over Piran hurting the doggo. So Hairlock, being absolutely crazy, essentially triggers the Hounds of Shadow from our boy Shadow Throne and chasing after him. And then he comes up and Piran stabs the doggo. Here, I know you murdered like several thousand people over your life probably, but don't stab the doggo. And anyways, him and Tattersail gets over her mage boy like real quick. She goes through the seven stages of grief really quickly. Anyways, back in Darujhistan, Whiskey Jack's gang is all split up and doing their business. Kalam and Quick Ben are to contact the Assassin's Guild, and at the same time, Quick Ben, side detour, let's get rid of Hairlock, makes a deal with Shadow Throne. This is what I love. Him tricking a god who's just like, everybody's terrified. He's terrified of Sari, who's the rope of Shadow Throne, and then him tricking Shadow Throne. Ooh, so perfect. So that leads to Piran essentially being saved, and RIP Talk the Younger, who I actually liked, as Hairlock is destroyed. Then Piran's kind of left with a bunch of Hounds of Shadow, and then Anamanda Reg pulls up. He's like, yo, I don't really want to stab dogs, but then he stabs dogs. God damn it, man. I like you, but I also like the murderous dogs. So I'm at a confliction here. But Piran saves their souls by going into Dragnipper, which is the fucking coolest concept for a sword. You have a wagon of eternal damnation. Like, what? As I said, everything is steeped in fantasy in these books, and I fucking love that. When he pulls up and then he tricks Opon, well, forces Opon to free the souls of the dogs, I was like, oh, this is some peak idea right here. I enjoyed that a lot. But anyways, back again in Darujhistan, shit is getting crazy. Our boy Crocus is like, damn, I kind of want some more titties, and I feel bad for stealing. So at first, he goes to the bar, where he comes to that decision. Sorry, stabs one person. And he's like, all right, I'm going to go head back. I'm going to return stuff. He returns the stuff, talks with his sweetheart. She's like, you know what? I kind of got another boy out here. I don't really care about you. And then, sorry, stabs another person. She just goes around stabbing people. For, like, the leader of the assassins, or, like, the representative, like, patron of assassins, or the rope of the patron of the assassins. You know what? She does a lot of stabbing, so I guess she fits the job description. Our boy Quick Ben and Kalam make contact with the assassins, but at the same time as Anamanda Rake, and shit hits the fan real quick, and Quick Ben and Kalam are kind of left at a loss of what to do with the assassins. I also spilled water on myself. But anyways, the boys of Darujhistan head out to the Gadrobi Hills, because they need to be safe. And Baruch's like, let's get the coin bearer out of here. And as I talked about things connecting, Ralik Nam does not go with them because he's also dealing with Assassin's Guild that Quick Ben and Kalam just were. And he also has the contract on the lady for Cole who's going with him, and he wants Cole out of the city so then he can get this little coop for his boy going. Like, it is just also intricately weaved together and works well. But anyways, out in the Gadrobi Hills, the boys run into Adjunct Lorne and Tool, the Ta'alan Imas. And as I said, the depth of the story, like the Ta'alan Imas and the Jagu, and then the third race I forget, along with the Tisti Andi, like the predecessors to the humans, and the way it's just kind of tossed in there, it's like, damn. There is depth here. But then a little scuffle happens. Cole is hurt by Lorne and Croup falls off his donkey, leaving Crocus alone to run into Sari, who's been freed from Cotillion by Animander's Rake's interaction. And this is another time when all the plot threads come together. Animander Rake kind of knew something was going on and he had involvement in the city, but he had no idea he was tracking the coin bearer, and it all just links together. Yeah, it can be seen as convenient, but at the same time, it flows so seamlessly. So they head back, but also Paran runs into Cole and brings him back to Darujhistan, and at the same time, Lorne and Tool awaken the Jagut Tyrant and steal his acorn. Probably not a good idea, but probably saved a bunch of lives. Now, this is where stuff starts getting crazy and where I was like, I don't want to do a full summary because there is so much that happens, especially in this conclusion. I've actually kind of gone back on my word and I've been summarizing it up to this point and giving my thoughts on it. So probably won't be like this in future entries unless you really want it to be. So for this section, I won't be going as in depth and just kind of taking it in broad strokes as Ralik Nam deals with his Assassin's Guild and Paran reunites with Whiskey Jack's team. And everything comes together at the Fiti thrown by Lady Simtal. So pretty much the acorn is planted, a weird house is appearing that eats the acorn, and Animander Rake decides to just start killing people. One of my favorite scenes in the book was when Ralik Nam challenges Turban Orr, who had the political scheming, another plotline going on in the background, to a duel, and then Animander Rake steps up as his second, like the dad of Chalice, who Crocus was interested in, was probably like, I have to fight that dude? But it didn't come to that. I kind of wish it did come to that, but that is such a backup. Like, not that Ralik Nam needs it, and that duel was awesome. Like, I hate when there's contests between people that there should be no contest in, and I love that. But shit hits the fan as the Jagut Tyrant tears through 5 dragons, and then Croup traps him in a dream with Tool, and then he escapes the dream, jumps into Crocus's uncle, starts blowing shit up, and then everything is going insane, and then he is blown up with just straight up explosives, along with 7 warns by Quick Ben. I love that. That is just the final touch was just, hey, here's a bomb. Go fuck yourself. That was great. But there's also the Assassin's Guild, which has now made contact. Sari is back with Whiskey Jack's squad. And then there's the fucking demon. Lauren's like, damn, guess that didn't work out. Here's a demon. And then Animander Rake just dives bombs from the sky. He can turn into a dragon, apparently. RKOs the shit out of this demon. And then just slaughters it. And also one of the most satisfying deaths. I liked Adjunct Lorne, but the way she died just in a street getting shanked, that was pretty solid. I like the way that wrapped up. Now, I know I did this intricate-ass conclusion very quick and not in as much detail as it would deserve in a full summary, but there are questions. This House of Azath was so convenient. I guess there's one in every big city. As I get into the second book, they talk about them being the Dead House Gates and them appearing, these houses. But also, like, what? That kind of came out of nowhere. And then Ralik Nam and the assassin leader who was murdering all of the heads of the wizards just jump into the house? I'm so confused. Oh yeah, and then also Kaladin broods like Crimson Guard is guarding Crocus. Like, there's just so much shit that isn't explained, and they're just like, don't worry about it. Kaladin Brood, another character that apparently is of equal to Animander Rake, maybe not in power, but at least in status and respect, is just like, casually mentioned, and then he has involvement, but then you never see him, and then the crow lady apparently served him. There is so much going on in this books, and I am excited to grasp as much of it as possible. I like reading physical books because I get so much more out of it and retain so much more information and understand. But to wrap up the review of this book, I have to say I am intrigued. I'm glad I spent this much time getting to the review because the more I thought about it, the more I understood it, and the more I liked this book and excited for this series as a whole. Malazan has intrigued me, and I am here for the whole journey. So stay tuned. If you made it this far, well, I mean, you're probably already liked and subscribed because shit, I rambled on for a really long time. But if you're not, get on that, and next review coming sometime this month. Thanks, guys.